Well, Helen, what was the overall idea? What was the overall concept you had at the beginning?
Well, the overall concept was to create an English garden in the summertime using beautiful British flowers, which you can see and smell here, well, we can. The inspiration was this very tatty backdrop of the door, which I love because it's so shabby, but I wanted to work with Britain and some form of colours. And also it's a soft blue in the poster. I was wanting to enhance the poster. So that was the theme. Most displays need a backdrop, so you have a backdrop, a middle ground and a foreground. So the deeper your window is, the more height you can get in the back bit, and you work with depth and pyramids working forwards and out. Now we also have a problem with sight lines with this window because we've got quite a high base here from outside. So we could have built the whole lot up higher, which was my original plan, but then to have raised the door up higher because it was so high would have been possibly a hazard because it's very, very heavy. So I decided to keep it at this level. So the window display works on two levels: from the distance, where you'll focus more on the lights and the poster and the higher flowers, but also when you're closer to or in the window as we are, you then see the more detail on the floor. But hopefully it's enough to pull people in and appreciate the beauty and availability of British flowers.
The particular layout you've got with the chair on one side and the ivy on the other, what's the idea behind that?
The idea is that our eye is pulled from the backdrop. Now originally we had the poster further over, so it's now better, we've got more flow. But also it gives the height for getting some flow, for getting the height in the display, which will catch your eye, pull your eye down from the poster and lead it down into the flowers.
Okay. What are the principles, the guiding principles you'd like people to be aware of and take note of when they're building their own displays?
Right, good lighting for a start. So part of the reason I put some fairy lights in, or festoon lights in, apart from the summer aspect of it, and we have some good lighting here in the window, which is great, so we're being lit from bottom and top, especially when it's dark or you've got reflection from outside in the sunshine, because it does help create shadows and drama in the window. So that's the first thing to look at for your displays. Now LED bulbs these days are cooler, which is better obviously when it comes to flowers. The next step is height. So getting height, thinking like a pyramid and working in steps coming out, but we've also got space. So this space, this blank space here, and also this space in between here, is deliberate because otherwise it would just be too busy, too cluttered, too much going on. So in a sense, we've got a backdrop, we've got one group here and we've got another group going down there. And with the ivy, it just breaks up the door and tries to give the idea that it's just an overgrown garden.
Okay, right. Any last tips or hints for someone about to try their own?
Well, I tried to make this simpler than it was. It is a simple formula, but less is more. Keep it simple. So one story in a window, and the one story and colour scheme that we've tried to get here is the pinky red from the poster, the soft blue from the poster to enhance the message, British flowers, hence we've got the Union Jacks. And one of the easiest ways I could do that, and for a budget, was actually buying some cushions, create a cosy part in the garden, and then the colour scheme of the flowers too, which have helped. So I asked to have some white, blues and soft red flowers as well.
So people don't need to spend a fortune on creating a display?
No, they don't. All we have used here really is the frame for the poster, and I will show you later on some poster grips that people could also use for posters, which are very cheap. All these other props have been knocking around the place. I bought the moss, but I didn't use all of it. Some of it can be used in the shop, some of it can be used for another display. Other than that, bricks from the backyard, the door from the backyard, some foam board I had to put. You printed up some larger tickets for me, bought some ribbon. The lights I have, they are stylist's own, as they usually say. But the bricks and the base, and I bought a bit of the laminate, plastic laminate flooring, which was I think £10–15 a box, just to put on some other crates. So you can be creative, look around, see what you have. It doesn't need to cost a lot.
That's great. Thanks very much, Helen.
Sure. Right, well, the theme for this window is basically taken from a shed door that I found in the other back shed, so an old door. Ultimately, the theme is going to be British Floral Week. The Paper Studio kindly invited me to come along and do a display. So, working with the colour scheme and Britain, I've decided to go sort of shabby chic, vintagey, if it works, based on the door at the back, if it works, and then using all the basic principles that we teach in our workshops to create a garden theme. Now ultimately the main product is going to be the flowers, British flowers from British growers, which will be going into the display. So all the props and everything, the staging that I set up will be to enhance the flowers and subsequently increase sales. And next trip is going to be to the shed to find out whether the ideas that I had in mind will actually work or not. So as you can see, window dressing is not a glamorous job, as perceived by many. So Maki had to clean off a lot of cobwebs, most of which, to be fair, are on grant. But this is the door that we pulled out, and I like the shabby version of it, so it just gives that nice sort of garden feel to it, old garden feel. So this is the starting point. We've got it positioned, it's securely suspended from the ceiling, and now we're going to fix it to the floor as well at the back to make sure that it doesn't get kicked, knocked and cause any hazards to anyone whilst it's in the window.
So can you just tell us what you're doing now, please, Helen?
At the moment I am, sorry, as I get my pins down, I'm hanging up these labels that I was talking about before, your tags, which have been mounted on foam board. So they can hang in a bit of a column and they'll balance the sign that we've got the other side, otherwise the whole window will be unbalanced. So I've got a nice ribbon which I feel will go with it, and it's not too prominent but thick enough. I'm just pinning it into the foam board, and then I'll stick another little bit of ribbon on in a minute. Then I'm hanging them up at different levels, working of course with odd numbers, because as any florist knows, odd numbers work better.
Why is that?
Oh, I don't know. Thought you might tell me. I think it's because you get more flow in it. If you have even numbers, you get more repetition and it's more static, and certainly it looks, your eye doesn't move so easily through it, I think, shape-wise. So it's probably more like a triangle, because a lot of displays are based on a triangle. Right, carrying on from that piece of foam you saw being cut earlier on, we've actually got two layers. Not quite big enough, but it's enough. When I put it on, it will make a cushion, and I shall hide some of that and disguise it, as one does. After a window dressing is all about the pins that you don't see behind. So trying to do a neat job, and then that will mean this chair will have more presence in the window. And then I have got some more cushions, which have got the Union Jack on, which will hopefully be the focal point of the display. Right, so I've now brought down some more lights because it needed more presence going down there, and I've also gone and stolen some more ivy, just to put on the chair, which just balances it off from here. But now we do need some flowers in, so we've got some beautiful flowers from Flowers by Clements, which have been sent up. Now the silver is fine, they're sort of going galvanised look, but these plastic pots are sort of pretty good as well in disguise. So I'm now working out where I'm putting bits of moss in as well, just to try and soften the floor a bit. So as I go, obviously the flowers take precedent, and then I will sort of put my moss in my other scatterings around it, but I'm still leading my space in here, so I'm just working out where they're all going to go, and so it's easy as well for the staff to be able to sell from the window. The flowers all look so glorious together, and the scent is amazing. This window is just beautiful, beautiful. I'm just playing around with colours at the moment. I'm not sure whether to put colours together or just to mix them all up, because I think an English cottage garden would be all mixed up and people wouldn't theme it in the same way. So at the moment I've got 2 blue here, 2 white there, but I think I'm going to change that anyway. And then I've got some bricks for different levels. I've got my polystyrene rock, which might go, but then once it's in the display you won't look at it anyway. It will be disguised. So just trying to get different levels. So we've got height at the back and we're working forwards and outwards, and your eye flows through.
Why do you want height at the back and things forward?
Because for a start, from outside you need something eye-catching for people to be able to see it, and this from over the road is far too low, so we've raised it up, and that's why I've got some more bricks in as well. So this is a better height from people walking past the window, so you've got different sight lines depending on where people are, but the height at the back, the wow factor, this hopefully will be enough to pull people over to see what the display is all about, and then